Welcome back to another video featuring the AVID Pro Tools dock. This video is a reshoot of my original trim edit video. I decided to reshoot because there are just so many things that have changed, which made my original video almost impossible to follow along with. This will cover Adobe Premiere CC version 12 with the standard Adobe Premiere app set file that comes with the EuCon software, which can be downloaded from your AVID account. If you want to follow along with this video, please make sure you've installed EuControl and have your dock connected and powered on. You will also have to make sure that you have EuCon selected under the Control Surface Preferences. If it's not installed, you'll have to install it. If we take a look at the Pro Tools Control App Soft Keys page, the lower soft keys are assigned to different Premiere windows. If we cycle through the pages, we get different soft keys that pertain to each window. Let's take a look at the timeline soft keys. At the top right, you'll see that there is a soft key for Trim Edit, but if we press it, it does put Adobe Premiere into Trim Edit, but if we move the jog wheel, it will either not do anything, or, as we see here, will go into the standard jog mode. So let's extend this soft key by assigning it a wheel command that actually controls the trim. So let's open up EuControl by pressing the Save and Cancel button on the dock at the same time. On the Soft Keys tab, we're going to change the section to TU Wheel. We're going to double click on Jog, and we're going to add a custom wheel command. And we're going to call it Trim Edit. Now for Turn Jog Left, we're going to add a EuCon command for Trim Backward. For Turn Jog Right, we're going to add a command for Trim Forward. Next, what we'll do is we'll change the section to touchscreen. We're going to change the page to page 2. We're going to double click on Trim Edit, and we're going to add a couple of things. We're going to add the wheel command that we just created. And custom Trim Edit. And we're going to also add another EuCon command to make sure that our timeline is focused. So from here, let's extend the functionality even further by adding a dedicated Trim Edit soft key page. So we can do things like changing trim type, adding default transitions, and moving between edit points. So let's reopen EuControl. And on the Soft Keys tab, change the section to touchscreen. Let's add a new page. And we're going to change the page to page 8, which is the new page. And let's add some common trim editing functions. So let's we got maybe trim, we got trim backwards many, we have trim backwards, we have maybe apply the default transition, toggle trim type. We're going to have trim forward and trim forward many. Okay. So here we're going to add a key for previous edit point and next edit point. And what these will do is it will allow us to move between the edit points in your project without having to actually get out of the trim edit mode. So if you have multiple clips that you want to trim edit, you can use these two keys to move forward and back between those points, which is pretty useful. So here let's do trim settings. And we're going to need a soft key to get back to our timeline and also to put the jog wheel back into jog. So let's just say timeline. Okay. So let's start coding some of these. So let's double click on here, which was the trim backwards many. And we're going to say add new EuCon command. And we're going to make this trim backward many. We're going to make this one trim backward. We're going to make this apply the default transitions. So we have apply default transitions to selection. We have toggle trim type. We have trim forward. And trim forward many. All right, we have previous edit point and next edit point. I'm going to use keyboard shortcuts for that. So this one will be the up arrow for previous edit point. And next edit point will be down arrow, so that's /D. Trim settings is a EuCon command. So we have trim, it's actually trim ... but we're going to rename that to trim settings. And of course, we have our timeline button here, which is going to serve a few different purposes. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to make sure that our timeline is focused. We're going to add another command to it to change the jog wheel back to standard jog. So for wheel, we're going to do dock jog, and under edit control, jog. And the last thing we're going to make it do is jump to page 2 on the touchscreen. So let's do page, jump to page 2. Before we close this out, let's rename this to timeline. And we also have to go back to page 2 and make sure that we add a page change to the trim edit soft key to switch to our new trim edit page. Let's change this to page 2. Double click on that. And we're going to add a page change to our new page, which is page 8. Close that out, save it, and let's see if I could do a little demo here. So I'm going to do a demo here of the trim edit finished product. I'm going to drag my playhead out to the middle of the session somewhere, and then I'm going to go over to the Pro Tools Control app. I'm going to make sure that the timeline soft keys are selected, and then I'm going to tap on the trim edit soft key. As you can see, the page has changed to our new trim edit soft key page, and we can now use the jog wheel or the soft keys to perform our trim edits. We can toggle through our trim types. So here we have our standard trim. Here you have a left ripple trim. Here's a right ripple trim. Here's a left end trim. Here's a right front trim. And when we're happy with the trim, we can apply our default transitions by tapping the Apply Default Transitions to Selection. And when we're done with that, we can move on to our next edit point by clicking on the Next Edit Point soft key. And from there, we can do the same thing. We can edit our trim point. We can also go back by pressing the previous edit point soft key. And if we wanted to take a look at our trim settings, we can tap the Trim Settings soft key. And when we're done with trim editing, we can tap the Timeline soft key, and that will bring us back into our timeline, and it will change the jog wheel back into the jog function. But note that once you tap the timeline, the playhead will still look like it's in trim edit, but as soon as you turn the jog wheel, it will go back to looking like a regular playhead. So there you have it, trim editing with the dock. It's super easy. One last bit of info. If you're not following the Pro Tools dock forum over on the AVID Pro Audio community, you really should be. There you can ask questions and get answers from those of us who use the dock on a daily basis. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.